Let's speak to our guest in the studio, Remy Piet, Assistant Professor of International Affairs at Qatar University. Remy, you were saying a moment ago about the intelligence failures that partially led to the attacks in France. France is now saying that it wants this global coalition, that it wants better intelligence sharing with the US. Why on earth isn't intelligence sharing done as a matter of course when it comes to global terror threats?
Because it's very hard to see the difference between, let's say, domestic security intelligence and other aspects of intelligence that might be linked to international geopolitics. And here we're actually touching a very much different issues with relationship with Russia and the question with Iran. I mean, we can go into this further. Again, on the failure, we should not overstate the failures. I mean, it's easy down after the fact to just look at and see that, yes, indeed, there was maybe one clue here that could have led us to believe that something would have happened in the Bataclan. One of the known let's say, support to a terrorist, Fabien Klein, which is linked to Mera in Toulouse, had indeed sent a message in his, I think, by mail saying that he would target a concert hall, but that was in 2009. So now you see reports saying, you see, even in 2009 there were information. You have to understand that there is so many information that is out there. The problem is not to collect the intelligence. The problem is to be able to find the right one. Even since the events on 2 or 3 days ago, we've had in Paris close to hundreds of calls for potential bombs, for people just making pranks. I mean, I don't want to overstate this, but there's movements of panics, there's people that want to contribute by giving intelligence. Which one is the right one? That's really the problem.
You've had a group of men planning for presumably some time and moving weapons around Paris. How is that not picked up by...
Well, the weapon is tricky. I mean, you have to differentiate two things here. The first thing is the access to a Kalashnikov. I mean, it's very easy to have access to rifles following the conflicts that were in former Yugoslavia. You can actually buy a rifle for 600 euros, and they're being brought back to different countries in Europe. It's not that complicated. And there's been 2 cases where they actually detained 2 people in Germany that were about to bring some more weapons into France. So having access to those kind of weapons that were the basis of the shooting in Paris is really not complicated, and they're really all over after the conflict in ex-Yugoslavia. The second one is the question of the suicide bombers. And that's the first time in French history that you actually have suicide bombers blowing themselves in France. And that's more complicated because you have to assemble the vest, you have to manage some specific chemicals that could actually blow up. So this is something that is not coming from outside. This is something that is actually put together inside France. So it might be, if you're looking at the weapons, there's 2 different trails of where you can actually try to limit this. Either the international trail, which is coming with rifles and military weapons, which is really everywhere in Eastern and Central Europe. And you actually have the question of the suicide vest, which would be actually done inside Paris. And that's maybe where now we're going to have more research as to what is the trail as to arriving to those suicide vests. And it's definitely a trademark of ISIS on this one.
Interesting stuff, Remy. Thank you very much indeed for that. Let's go to Tristan Redman, who is an Al Jazeera producer also at the scene. And Tristan, we've just seen... OK, we've lost Tristan, unfortunately. I was going to ask Tristan about the military who've just arrived. We just saw walking through the picture a few moments ago some French soldiers, and Tristan had been saying that the military have arrived on the scene. Let's go back to Remy Piet, who's in the studio. This is obviously a multifaceted security operation going on here. We've got SWAT, we've got police, and now we've got the army.
And on this, the French are known to be quite efficient of tackling some hostage situations or trying to dismantle or arrest people. I mean, he would have been... we don't have reports here, but if Abdelhamid Abahoud, instead of being killed, had been detained, that would be a source of information that would be very valuable. So I imagine the SWAT team have been trying until the very last second to prevent a bomb from happening inside the apartment, to try to detain and have some more information. In the case of the operations, if you look back at what happened on Friday night and today, they actually have been quite effective of being able to limit the numbers of casualties. In the stadium, we're talking about 3 suicide bombers, 4 casualties, including the 3 suicide bombers. So that means that they were able to try to limit this. Here in this case, is they stormed the building, and they seem to be, we have to wait for a report, but they seem to could have been way more important or damaging to have people inside that building that were heavy weapons and with vests. So we see that there's really a know-how from the SWAT teams. There's both the police with the red, and you have the GIGN, which is more linked to the army and the militaries. Both of them actually working in quite good fashion to be able to be effective on the ground.
Okay, Remy, thank you for that.